I am fucking bored as shit. Let's talk about games you technically can't play legally. So these are games that have been delisted off storefronts. Now, of course, what does delisted mean? That means you can't buy it digitally anymore. That's why I don't fucking buy my games digitally. I buy them physically, just in case this type of shit happens. Now, of course, most delisted games never got a physical edition. But we'll talk about the ones that also got physical edition, so you still have a way of playing them, it's just you can't get the digital version. And of course, since we're talking about delisted games, let's get PT out of the fucking way. PT is a demo of Silent Hill game. Who the fuck cares? It's a fucking demo. Now, of course, I know a lot of people are pissed off about it. One guy tried to recreate it in the Unity engine, and then I think got a job at Capcom. But everyone knows what the fuck PT is. I shouldn't have to describe PT. But if you're wondering, you can still play PT through the remake. Now, there are some interesting things about PT. I know that it's been locking on people's PS4, so you can't play it on PS4. And also, PT is one of the very few PS4 exclusive games. Now, of course, isn't most PS4 exclusive games exclusive to PS4? No. Most PS4 exclusive games work on PS5. Capcom called Sony to tell them, don't make PT available on PS5. Don't let it work on PS5. So yeah, it's one of the very few actually exclusive PS4 games. And it's the one that you could barely play in the first place. And I'm pretty sure most PS4 emulators that exist still don't even support PT. So your really only choice is to either jailbreak your PS4 or play the Unity remake. Now, of course, people have been uploading the ROM to the game, so there's still ways to play it. It's not easy. So let's actually get on to the most interesting things. First up, the Doom games on Xbox 360 and PSN. Around the time Bethesda was remaking the Doom games in the fucking Unity engine for Xbox One and PS4, they actually delisted Doom 1 and 2, and I think even Doom 3 on Xbox 360 and PS3. So your only choice was to buy it physically. One small issue: there was no physical version of Doom 1 or 2. Unless you got the special edition of Doom 3. This is the only way of playing Doom 1 and 2 on Xbox 360. I'm unsure about PS3. So yeah, if you have the Doom 3 BFG edition, you can play Doom 1, 2, and 3. So this is what you want to get if you want to play the original Dooms for the achievements on those. And that's another thing to realize about these games that become unlisted. They have achievements. So if you lost your chance, those are achievements you will never get. And you know me, I'm fucking obsessed with achievements, so yeah. Another game that was delisted and might actually become rare in the future, that being Family Guy, Back to the Multiverse. I paid $30 fucking bucks for this copy. That was the cheapest price. I think I actually paid like 26, and that's because it was missing the manual. I'm going to buy the manual separately. But this game's actually starting to become rare. I think whenever the Wii, 360, and PS3 become GameCube rare, then this game will definitely reach the $100 market. Sort of like Futurama. And I know brand new copies of this game is really fucking expensive. And the Steam version is like $60 on Amazon. But other sites that sell the Steam key, it's like $80. So yeah, this game is incredibly hard to get. It's been delisted on every storefront. 360, PS3, and Steam. So, if you want to play Family Guy Back to the Multiverse, you're going to either have to pay up $60 fucking dollars for the Steam version if you want to play it on PC, or just pay the $30 right now for the Xbox 360 and PS3 version. Yeah, it's always the weirdest games that become rare. A fucking demo made a $200 console on eBay go to $700. This is $30 even though it's a fucking Family Guy game. But yeah. And speaking of licensed games, another licensed game that's then delisted is Deadpool for 360, and I'm unsure about PS3. That's another game you can buy physically. So luckily you can still play it. But Deadpool, I don't know how to describe it. I know fucking PewDiePie played it back then, so if you want to know what that game's like, just watch PewDiePie's playthrough. But yeah. And again, speaking of fucking licensed games, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I know this game got a remake for new generations of consoles. If there's an Xbox version, I might buy it. But yeah, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World was on Xbox 360 and PS3. And it was such like an interesting title because like it was a really fucking good beat 'em up. Too bad it was removed because of copyright reasons. That's what happens to a lot of these games. Usually the first games to leave storefronts are the licensed copyright game, like the licensed games. Have you noticed that all three of them, the three for 360 and PS3, are all licensed games? Family Guy, Deadpool, and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. That's because they messed up when it came to copyright. So they couldn't sell it for very long. Or they were like, okay, we don't care anymore, just get this off so we don't have to pay for it anymore. I think there was a thing where SpongeBob SquarePants Underpants Slam was delisted, but I don't know anything about that. Because that was a fucking SpongeBob party game that's digital only on 360. I don't even think there was a PS3 version of it. Yeah, there isn't really much to talk about SpongeBob Underpants Slam. Now, of course, there are games that were removed for no fucking reason whatsoever, and these games being the Sonic the Hedgehog games for 360, and you bet your ass PS3. That being Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic and Knuckles, and Sonic CD. You can't buy these anymore. I actually bought mine very recently, and that's through an exploit. Basically, when they were delisted off the Xbox storefronts, and not really delisted, more of a you can't fucking buy it anymore. Like, they're still there, you just can't buy it. You could actually go to the Xbox website and figure out how to do that mess without going to the new Xbox website, but staying on the old one, and you could buy them there. They recently removed them off the old Xbox website, but I still have them, and I still have proof. Here's proof. Like, I still have these games. The only one I don't have is Sonic CD, because I hate Sonic CD. Now, of course, why don't you just buy Sonic Origins or the Genesis collections, you know? Well, because these have exclusive achievements. Just like every other game we talked about. They all have achievements. So, like, if you have these games, good job. You have really cool achievements. And you can prove to all your friends that you can beat Green Hill Zone in under 35 seconds. But that's one thing that people don't realize. And also, it's just the better version of those games. Like, you don't want to worry about Genesis Collection, because that doesn't even have Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Or Knuckles and Sonic 2. So, like, if you wanted to play those games, you would have to get the Xbox version, not the Genesis Collection. Now, of course, there's also Sonic Origins, which released really recently. Why? Those are remakes of the games, and Sonic 3 doesn't even have the Michael Jackson music in it, so it's not really worth it. Yeah, if you want the Michael Jackson music, well, your time's up. You can't get it anymore. And actually, I bought Doom 2 before those remakes were even announced, so I also have a copy of Doom 2, which is pretty fucking cool, on my Xbox account. Now, let's talk about sometimes when a game's delisted, it's for a good reason. Probably because the game was absolute dog shit. What game got that treatment? It was a game for exclusively PS3. That was a remake of a PS2 title. I'm gonna grab one that actually looks good. The SpongeBob movie game for PS2. This is the GameCube copy. My PS2 version's sun bleached. But the the SpongeBob movie game for PS2. Now, of course, PS2 doesn't have a store. How is it delisted? Well, select few PS2 titles were remade on the PS3. It was a very select few, and I don't know if they work on the newer PS3 models. But one of those games was the SpongeBob movie game, and it was fucking bad. The SpongeBob movie game for under the PS2 classics was one of the worst fucking experiences. From what I know, because I don't have it. From what I know, the game had audio lag during the cutscenes and had input delay during gameplay. That is actual torture. Like, this game may suck, but just imagine playing this hard-ass game with fucking input delay. Like, no, that's not a good game. You made an already bad game fucking worse. I don't like the SpongeBob movie game. I think some of the missions are stupid. Like, why do I have to fight like 4 rounds of like 40 enemies? That's stupid. Why should I have to do that? But just imagine doing that, because those missions are already hard as fuck. Imagine doing those missions with input delay. Just no. Who would want to do that? Now, of course, you could play a better version of the game if you had a PS2 copy of the game and the oldest PS3 model. But if you want to play it now, buy a PS2 or buy the more superior Xbox version. Don't fucking ask me why I have almost goddamn near every copy of this game. Now, of course, there's also just, like, random shit that was removed. YouTube, Netflix, and Hulu Plus were all removed off the 3DS eShop because no one used it. And, of course, there's every single WiiWare title when the Wii Shop channel shut down. And soon to be every Wii U, digital Wii U release of a game and every 3DS digital release of a game. All those are also about to go away. So, yeah, those are technically delisted, even though it's just the store shutting down. Now, of course, there's also one more game that I pretty much forgot to mention. It was a Steam release, and it got removed because of controversy against the Chinese government. That game being Devotion. Devotion was a horror game. I don't know, I never played it. I know I have it pirated, because I can't fucking buy it. It's delisted. Devotion is a horror game where, I don't know, you walk around a house and try to find clues or some shit. I don't know. I don't know anything about the game. All I know is that the game's freaky as shit, and my computer can barely run it since it uses Unreal. But the reason the game was removed because of the Chinese government was because the Chinese government did not like the game. There's one specific scene where you're walking down a hallway and there's papers on the wall that are written in Chinese. The developer forgot to remove them, and it's the temporary texture. The temporary texture of those like paper and sticky notes on the shit of the walls. What it says is something relating to the president of China looking like Winnie the Pooh. The president of China does not fucking like that, so the game has been purged. You can still buy the soundtrack, though, which is nice. And pretty much the actual only way of playing this game is through piracy. And luckily, pirating that game is one of the easiest things because the game's removed, and the company is a very small company. So it's not like, oh, Nintendo removed a game, you're going to have to wait 5 years before you can download it. No, this game was like, the second that thing was available for download for free, everyone was already hopping on that bandwagon. So, Devotion's a really interesting game. I do honestly recommend it. I just can't play it legally. Anyway, let's get on to games that were only available during the pre-release of a console or whenever you bought the console early, I think you all know where I'm coming with this, the Game Boy Advanced games for the 3DS. If you bought a 3DS before the price drop, you were a part of the Ambassadors program. So you got a really cool video at the beginning. You got a really cool video for your home screen, and it's pretty much like a certificate. Hey, you were dumb enough to buy a 3DS at launch. Was pretty much what it was saying. And you also got a hand selection of GBA games. What I find really funny is whenever people ask Nintendo to put GBA games on the eShop, they would say, oh, the 3DS isn't powerful enough for that. What do you mean not powerful? You have them. Yeah, and you made them work. And what's even more confusing is, what do you mean by not powerful? The Nintendo DS, which is less superior to the 3DS, can play GBA games. So where's the not powerful enough coming from? It's basically Nintendo saying, no, you should have bought it before the price drop. That's pretty much what they're saying with it. So the GBA games on 3DS are unbuyable. Pretty much the only way to buy them was through being a fucking idiot at launch day. There's another game that's been delisted. Sorta. These are games that you can still play them, but the original versions you can't. Another game that was like that is Fallout 3. Fallout 3, for the longest time, did not work on Windows 10. Why? Why did Fallout 3 not work on Windows 10? Because it needed games for Windows Live. That shit shut down after Windows 7. So, if you did not have a Windows 7, or did not have games for Windows Live on your computer, you could not play Fallout 3 on Windows 10, and I even think not even on Windows 8. So the only way to play Fallout 3 on Windows 8 or 10 was to go find an exe file of the setup to games for Windows Live. Luckily, in like 2020 or 2021, one of those two, they were like, okay, let's remove this so people can play Fallout 3 again. Which Fallout 3 came out like a decade ago. And the fact that it had a really recent update just cracks me up. It sort of reminds me of like all the old Valve games, like Half-Life 2. Half-Life 2's last update was in like 2007. And they recently updated it in 2022 so it could support the Steam Deck. Do you know how funny it is to see Half-Life 2 update queued? It's the funniest thing. This game, which hasn't been updated in over a decade, needs to update. It's funny. So yeah, the original version of Fallout 3 that required games for Windows Live, the only way to play the games for Windows Live version of Fallout 3, I don't know why you would, but the only way to play that version is to buy the physical disc version. And same thing with Half-Life 2. If you want to play Half-Life 2 before the Orange Box update, you would have to buy the Half-Life 2 Collector's Edition for PC. But that version of Half-Life 2 has been delisted since like 2007 when they released the Orange Box. I don't know when they released the Orange Box. I'm just taking a wild guess and say it's 2007. So if you want to play the 2004 version of Half-Life 2, you're going to be buying some really old games. You're going to be buying a box set that contains 6 discs with Half-Life 2 on it. I think the only reason it's 6 discs is because it's CD instead of DVD, which still confuses me. I don't know how Half-Life 2 is on 6 discs. That game is barely a gigabyte. Now, of course, is there any other game which you can only play through the physical edition? Yep, we're talking about physical edition only versions of games now. This is no longer the Steam version or Marketplace versions, but games that you can only play on physical disc if you want to play the physical disc versions. There's a lot. And it's mainly with PC games. And one of those games is an extremely rare copy of a PS2 game. That being GTA San Andreas. The AO version of the game. The AO version of GTA San Andreas is incredibly hard to come by. When you see GTA San Andreas, most of the time it's rated M for mature. But there was an adults only version. Why? Because there was an unused mini game in the files, the Hot Cocoa edition. I think that's what people call it. The Hot Chocolate, that's what it was called. It was literally a mini game where you have sex with a girl. That's what got the game to AO. You know, it can't be because the blood and gore, the intense violence, the strong language, strong sexual content, or use of drugs. No. That gets you an M. The second you have one sex cutscene in there, you get an AO. And it's just so confusing. Because it was unused. It's not even meant to be played. You don't see... There was a golf game that had a fucking episode of South Park in the files. And that game's still rated E. But just the fact that GTA San Andreas has an AO version that's incredibly rare to come by surprises me. Just because of one unused file. I don't know how they did that, but they did. Has there been any games that have recently been delisted? There's only one I can think of. On March 31st, on the Nintendo Switch, it was an execution day of Super Mario. Super Mario 3D All-Stars. I would show you the inside, but I would rather die than open this goddamn copy. Super Mario 3D All-Stars is a compilation of 3 Mario games. You have Mario 64, which is fucking amazing. Mario Sunshine, which is the world's worst fucking Mario game. And then Mario Galaxy, which is amazing. Yeah. The problem is, no one likes Super Mario Sunshine. I don't know why they included it. Why didn't you just include Mario Galaxy 2? But this game has been delisted off of the Nintendo Switch on March 31st. I don't know why, but it's probably because Nintendo is just a giant fucking asshole. So, the only way to really play this game is through the physical edition. Now, luckily, stores are rotting with this physical edition. I think there was 8 million copies of this game sold. So, it's not going to become rare anytime soon. I'm pretty sure you can play damn near the entire mainline Mario games on Switch. The only one you're missing is Mario Galaxy 2 and Mario 3D Land. So yeah, that was my video on delisted games. I couldn't think of a video idea today, so I was like, I'm going to talk about games that you can't play legally anymore. And then I started talking about how the Switch sucks. I completely forgot. There's one more game, Uno, for Xbox 360 and PS3. Those have been delisted, and I want to know why. You don't even need to keep the servers up. They just delisted it because they can. Yeah, the only way to play Uno for Xbox 360 is through the Xbox Live Arcade disc. I completely forgot about that. That's probably like the biggest one on here because the giant meme around Uno for Xbox 360. Like, how could I forget about Uno on 360 and how it was delisted? So, technically, that guy who's getting yelled at about not having Uno on 360, technically, he doesn't own it anymore. That's so funny to me.
What about 10 minutes of counting here? Got it, Xbox through. I told you, I don't like that name. Don't let him see us.
Okay, where the fuck do I go?